When you think about a country's economy, what pops into your head? Maybe gleaming stock exchanges, huge tech campuses? Well, today we're going to look at a completely different model. We're diving into the really unique economic structure of Ethiopia, a country where the whole engine is deeply, deeply rooted in its ancient land and culture. So let's explore how it all works. So, to really get a handle on how Ethiopia's economy ticks, we've got to start with one fundamental question. What is the absolute bedrock, the very foundation that everything else is built on top of? And the answer? Well, the sheer scale of it might just surprise you. It's this number, 80%. That is the percentage of the entire population working in just one sector. And that sector? It's agriculture. It is the undeniable core of the Ethiopian economy. To really build our understanding here, we're going to start from the ground up. And I mean that literally. We're going to look at the primary economic activities, the ones that are totally rooted in the land. So what in the world are primary activities? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's that first step, the direct pulling of raw materials right out of the earth. We're talking about farming, fishing, forestry, mining. It's all about what we can take directly from nature. And this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? That huge bar for agriculture absolutely dwarfs everything else. Yeah, industry and services are there, but they are so much smaller in comparison. This isn't just a sector, it's the sector. So what are people actually growing? It's an incredible mix. You've got staple cereals like teff, which is just fundamental to Ethiopian food, along with barley and wheat. But then you also have major global commodities like coffee, which, by the way, has its origins right here. You also see these really unique local crops like ensit, a staple food people call the false banana, and chat, which is a stimulant leaf. It's this fascinating blend of growing for your own family and growing cash crops for the global market. And hey, it's not just about crops. Ethiopia is an absolute giant when it comes to livestock. In fact, it's home to the largest cattle population in all of Africa. That's a massive piece of the primary economy and of the culture itself. Okay, so you've got all these raw materials from the land. What happens next, right? Well, we move to the second stage, which you could call the nation's workshop, where all those raw materials get transformed. And this brings us to secondary activities. The logic is super straightforward. You take the raw stuff from the primary sector and you turn it into something else, finished or manufactured goods. Think turning cotton into cloth or taking clay and making pottery. Now, what's so interesting here is that Ethiopia's industry kind of has two different faces, and they exist right next to each other. On one hand, you have these ancient traditional cottage industries. Think beautiful handmade weaving and pottery. And on the other hand, you have this growing modern manufacturing sector that's focused on light consumer goods. It's this contrast that perfectly captures an economy in transition, where centuries-old craftsmanship is meeting the push toward modern industrialization. All right, so we've grown it and we've made it, but how does it all get connected? How do goods and people actually move around? Well, that brings us to our third sector, the one that ties everything together. This is the tertiary sector, but you probably just know it as the service sector. And unlike the first two, this one isn't about physical things. It's all about providing services, everything from retail and transport to banking and tourism. Now, the really crucial thing to get here is how this sector makes the others even work. You have production, all the goods from farms and factories, but that's pretty useless without trade to help people buy and sell it, and transportation to physically move those goods and people where they need to go. You can think of services as the economy's circulatory system. And speaking of transportation, here is a fascinating fact. Ethiopia is an absolute powerhouse in African aviation. Ethiopian Airlines isn't just some local carrier. It's one of the continent's largest and most important airlines, connecting Africa to the rest of the world. A real standout in the service sector, for sure. All right, for our last section, we're looking at a really unique part of the service economy, one with incredible potential that's been described with a very, very memorable name. They call it a smokeless industry. What does that even mean? Well, it means generating income and creating jobs without the heavy industrial footprint you get from factories and smokestacks. And in Ethiopia, this smokeless industry is tourism. A huge part of Ethiopia's tourism potential comes from its cultural landscapes. Now, this isn't just a pretty view. It's an area that's recognized for its deep mix of history, culture, and beauty, all woven together. The Kanso cultural landscape is a perfect example, famous for its centuries-old stone-walled terraces and fortified villages. It's like a living history book written right on the land itself.
And honestly, Ethiopia's wealth of attractions is just staggering, spanning everything from dramatic natural landscapes to ancient human-made wonders.
On the natural side, you've got these breathtaking treasures, the jagged peaks and deep valleys of the Simien Mountains, and the awesome, thundering power of the Blue Nile Falls. These are truly world-class natural wonders. And then you have these human-made wonders that feel like they're from another world. The incredible monolithic churches of Lalibela, carved directly out of solid rock, and the towering obelisks and ancient ruins of the Aksumite kingdom. I mean, this is history you can literally reach out and touch. So as we wrap up this economic portrait, we're left with a really powerful idea. Ethiopia's economy is fundamentally built on its land, but its future growth might just be powered by its past. It leaves us with this question to think about. How can a nation's ancient history become the very engine for its future?